Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our Saturday sports special. A warm welcome to you wherever you are. My name is Michael Bascombe, and joining me a little later on will be my co-host, Rudieon Sylvan in Toronto. Happy Grenada Day to the folks in Canada. It's, as we call it, Grenada Caracol Pity Mark Week Day in Toronto today, and then on Sunday, tomorrow, will be the folks in U.S. or New York in particular, Brooklyn to be exact, Grenada Day. Yeah, they had to do some switching of the venue in Brooklyn because the original venue work is taking place. And, yeah. But however, warm welcome to you once and all. And, we have a very lively discussion on today, and the main discussion topic has to do with the Grenada Athletics Association is holding its elective meeting today with the election of a new executive body among the major items on the agenda. And we expect to receive an update on the outcome of the elections during today's program, but regardless of who wins or lose, the bigger conversation should not end with the election. But I can tell you from what I am picking up here is that I'm getting some updates live, and it appears that the new president is Mr. John Mitchell, and the vice president, or the first vice president, is Mr. Mike Batiste. Mr. Mike Batiste is the first vice president. The second vice president is Mr. Albert Joseph. So both Mike Batiste and Albert Joseph is from the Colin Peters slate. So that is what I'm reading, and it appears that it's close, because I'm seeing that John L. won by 3 votes to the presidency. He would have defeated Mr. Colin Peters by 3 votes. Mr. Mike Batiste won by 1 vote, and Albert Joseph won by 1 vote. Yeah, so it's very close. They're now down to, I think, the general secretary. Then we'll have the assistant, the treasurer, and then the PRO. So the votes are in. It seems as if so far it has been 1 for the John L. Mitchell slate and 2 for the Colin Peters slate, Mike Batiste, and now there's Albert Joseph, who will be the second vice president. And let's see what will happen in terms of the secretary. But it's a conversation that we need to have regarding the difficulty surrounding the Grenada Athletics Association electoral process. Again, raise questions about governance, transparency, and the administrative structure of sporting associations in Grenada. When you have folks reaching out to other people who have expressed an interest in the election and telling them boldly not to participate, basically trying to manipulate the electoral process, we have a problem. If someone is interested in making a contribution in terms of service to a national sporting association, why it is, and mind you, these are folks who in some instances would have occupied positions in sporting associations. But it appears to me that it's all a grab for power, the hungry for power, that by all means necessary, you will reach out to someone and tell them they should not participate. And, whatever money that we got from the Carifta Games, we don't want this person to administer it, and, all these sort of garbage talk, I will call it. We need a serious introspection of sports administration in Grenada. Sports do not belong to individuals. And that's why I believe that when people put themselves up for election in sporting associations in particular, it reflects the same in terms of governance and the politics and things like that. So what must foremost be on your mind is the representation. You are representing the people who elected you. So in this case, the athletes. You are representing the athletes and the interests of the sporting association, not yourself. And that's what we have seen happening. A lot of folks are using sporting association as their own. That's my own. And I can say what I want and do what I want. And the moment time they become president or vice president or secretary or whatever, you can talk to them. And this is something we have to deal with. There's no room for that. I want to join with you, Alice, and congratulate the winners so far, and express that hunger for power. This is why some clubs are not included. Yeah, and I will get to that. You raise an important issue there. Why it is that some clubs were excluded from the electoral process. Well, I don't know what happened today. What would have been the outcome? Because I know some of them are challenging it. So, for example, let me use two clubs for example. Top Flight Athletics, coached by Gary James, the brother of Kirani James, based in St. John, and Altitude Track Club, coached by Naid Simon, the coach of the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School, SAS, based in St. Andrew. Two top clubs as far as I can, with athletes. In fact, but Altitude Track Club of St. Andrew had probably most of their athletes doing national duties representing Grenada at the Carifta Games. They have a number of their athletes there. And are you telling me that at this late stage, you're telling them that they are not financial? According to the bylaws of the Grenada Athletics Association, to participate in all activities of the Grenada Athletics Association, including sanctioned events, you must be in good financial standing. So for you to register to participate, whether it's in national relay meet, national champs, Whitsuntide Games, you must be in good financial standing. So you can't tell me that you accepted their registration money without looking to see if they're financial. Allow them to participate. And then when time for election, you're telling them that they are not financial. Something is wrong. Something is fundamentally wrong. What is happening, who was governing the Athletics Association in terms of the financial and otherwise? I mean, you're supposed to have easily available copy of all those who have paid and who are not financial. And added to that, there is nothing wrong in when you sending out notices for meetings to inform and alert affiliates that they may risk not being able to vote because they are not financial. A reminder, so that they will get time to regularize or even say, hey, no, I am financial. Here's my receipt. This is probably an error. So, that can be corrected or whatever it is. You give them time. So the question would be, when were notices sent out, you know? Yeah, when were the notices sent out? And how was it notified? Okay. Yeah. So, these are the things that I'm kind of puzzled about in terms of the administration of sports. So when you have folks reaching out, and there's nothing wrong, by the way, in campaigning and canvassing votes. But when you're trying to manipulate it to the point that you're telling people that they should not participate and they should not do this and not do that, it means that you're trying to grab on to power. I mean, I don't get it, and sports, again, the administration of sports in Grenada is in crisis in some instances. An association of the Grenada Athletics Association that should be basking on the successes of our athletes at Intercall and Carifta Games, etc. It shows that we are in serious problems, and probably Intercall and our athletes at Intercall probably making track and field look good. That is that's my assumption. Yeah. But when you look at the administration of the sport, we're in shambles. And when administrators are doing these sort of things to hold on to power, it shows you that, there's nothing wrong in being up there, providing a service, being available. And when the time comes and you have to walk away, you put up your arms and you say, I have done my part. I'm happy with it. I can walk away. Or someone challenge you in an election, so be it. But when you have to be calling folks and telling them that you don't want them to be in this camp, and you don't want this person to win because if they win this and that, and come on, man. We behaving as the politicians, and probably worse than the politicians. This is sports. What is in it? The politicians themselves, they become a minister. They have a lot of perks in it for them and this sort of things like that as ministers and parliament and what have you. Sports is basically in Grenada. Sports is amateur to an extent, volunteer. So what is it that you frightened about? You have to grab at everything and everybody want to be in everything, whether it's Athletics Association, Olympic Committee, everything you want. No. We have to do better than that. Yeah, we have to do better than that. Yeah. It behoves. So the updated one now is that Desiree Stephen, she retained the post of General Secretary. She won by 3 votes. Yeah, she won by 3. By 3. So by 3, by 1, by 3. So we have the assistant secretary post, the treasurer, and the PRO. So far, we have John L. Mitchell as the president, Mike Batiste as the first vice president, Albert Joseph as the second vice president, Desiree Stephen as the secretary. And another thing that I hope is that this new executive, because it's a new executive, because the previous president, Conrad Francis, based on the reports, he has decided that he will not contest the election. And wish Conrad all the best. But this new executive has to really, really look at the affairs of the athletes and stop this ego trip. I can point directly at the previous administration of the Athletics Association. It's all about ego. You cannot speak to some of them, and when you speak, is what they're saying, and it's all about a clique. And no, we have to stop that. We have to stop that, man. Sports in Grenada is, I don't know. So bad and so worse. Travelette, good afternoon to you. 6 of 1/2 of a dozen of the next. The beauty of being part of an institution is to master the rules and regulation. The challenger is no good. He was made by Francis, who controlled the certification process for years. 3 votes. Yep, 3 votes. Very close. I would like to see the list of the delegates, and meaning those who were allowed to vote, because I know that was a bit contentious at the start. What was the final list? Because let me give you a synopsis, folks. The election of new officers was originally scheduled for January of this year. And because of Grenada hosting of the Carifta Games in April, it was decided, and when you look at it, yes, for continuity, you do not want to put a new executive and have to basically start from all over again. But my thing is that I don't necessarily have to. If you have a LOC and what have you, that doesn't necessarily. But they agreed that they will push the election back to September. All of a sudden, and of recent, the election was scheduled for August. And for today, the decision behind why it was changed from September to August is still a bit baffling. It can be logistics, it can be tactical, because Mr. Colin Peters, who expressed an interest in contesting, was scheduled to attend a meeting out of state and to take some vacation. So he was basically prepared for the meeting in September. That would have given enough time to be back home and to do his canvassing, etc. But the wisdom of those in authority, they decided that they will have it not later, but earlier. I guess as much tactical again is probably to catch them off. However, this was done and notices were sent out. By the way, up to this point in time, I have not received an official notice. Normally, they will inform the media about the election and what have you, the list of candidates, and the whole process that they'll probably inform the affiliates first, and then there will be a media release stating that the elective meeting is scheduled for when, and update, so that people won't be speculating. So most of the information I had to basically reach out to various personnel from this club and that club to get information. Nothing official from the Grenada Athletics Association. Even the list of candidates. I know of Team Colin Peters. Colin reached out to media, but I don't even know whether it was 3 slates or just 2 slates or just 1 slate. Who are the others? Whether there were people who didn't have a slate and they were contested as an independent. Nothing like that. And I thought that, to me, that was a very clandestine move by the Grenada Athletics Association. And we have to be a bit more serious. I know we are volunteers, but if you sign up to be a volunteer, then be a volunteer, right? But I get the impression that some of them are signing up to be more than a volunteer, right? And whether or not, as one person indicated, the perks and the travel and the this and the that, and they want to be in charge and they want to be the boss and things like that. So And listen, we have had instances where people were actually saying that we do not want this person to be in this association and this person to be in that association, and these sort of things like that. So yeah, I mean, come on. When we reach to that stage, man. When? Good afternoon, Gamali Felix. He's one of our national athletes, and he's speaking out. I genuinely believe the Grenada Athletics Association desperately needs a change. We need more transparency, accountability, and people who genuinely care about the sport and the athletes. Folks, take it from it. That is Gamali Felix, an athlete himself, a national athlete, who is speaking out. So he knows it, he is feeling it, and he is speaking out. Good afternoon, Gamali, and thank you for that candid observation. He goes on to say, Grenada has the talent, facilities, and potential to be so much further ahead. We need an administration that communicates clearly about funding, development, selections, and where the sport is heading. This isn't about personalities or sides. It's about moving Grenadian athletics forward. Folks, what else do you want to hear? This is not someone who is speculating. This is a national athlete. And Gamali has been out there, and at times, frustratingly enough, even with injuries and all these sort of things, had to basically swim on his own. I should let these athletes say something. I mean, the athletes are speaking out. They are saying what it is. Some of them, by the way, telling you man for man. But here is one who is basically saying as it is. So the public will have an idea of what these athletes are going through. I'm leaving it there for folks to, get it into themselves. This is not a peep squeak. This is a national athlete. This is a quarter miler who is on the up. And he is making that observation that we do have the talent, we have the facilities, and as well as the potential. But the administration is shortchanging the athletes. He speaks of funding, and he speaks of, not they may have funding, but what about the communication about the funding, the development, the selections? What direction are we heading? And as he concludes, this isn't about personalities. It's about Grenadian athletics moving forward. Thank you. Thank you very much, Damali. Wow. Yeah. Folks, I didn't expect us to take that turn, today. I mean, I was just expecting, just what's going on. But it appears that it's more than what I have actually signed up for today, because I didn't know, and I'm hoping that with Gamali's expose, that other athletes will be brave enough to start speaking out. It's not about friend, it's not about personalities, as he indicated. So even if you're a friend with who and who, but you're feeling it, you have to speak out. You have to say what it is. Because all we see is that these folks, it's all about themselves. They go to these championships and it's about them and where they're sitting and who they this and with a Grenada flag and this, that. And nothing about the athletes. I mean, I had to raise hell today about the Athletics Association all of a sudden recognizing the performances of our athletes in a Facebook post today, election day, about a meet that they participated more than a month ago. It was July 4th in St. Kitts. The athletes represented Grenada and performed, and it's only today the Athletics Association remember that these athletes performed, and it's recognizing them. Come on, man. We have to be serious, man. Yes, Trevor, it's much more than we can chew. And you, as a former athlete yourself, national athlete, yeah, you should know. You should know more about that. Let me see if we have an update in terms of the. So Vaughn Joseph is the treasurer. Vaughn Joseph is the new treasurer, and that is from the Colin Peters camp. Vaughn Joseph. Yeah, he would have won by probably 5 votes, it appears. I don't know who is the assistant secretary as yet, but it seems as if we're going down to the last one. I'll see who is the assistant to Desiree. And you know, hopefully that some of the folks who provided their services to be on the executive and then win, I hope that they may be able to pull them in and have them on various committees to provide, you know, to continue their service, because they made the bold move in providing the service, okay? And the folks like Jamila and let me see who again, Kwame and others who, you know, decided that they want to make a contribution can be used in other areas and various committees, you know, to continue the process. Kim, good afternoon to you. The same old cannot be acceptable. We need new and modern approach to administration for all our sporting organizations. And it's something, Kim, that we have been saying regarding, you know, the whole issue of sports and the governance of sports in Grenada. And far too long, we have been taking it just as a joke. And except for the Grenada Football Association, which, by the way, has, you know, a bigger budget. Their budget is probably even more than the Grenada Olympic Committee. No fault of the Grenada Football Association, because they are basically funded by FIFA. I don't know in the case of the Grenada Athletics Association regarding its international federation, which is World Athletics. I mean, World Athletics speak a lot about, you know, their profits and development programs and all these sort of things. I'm certain it's not only to do with travel and attendance at major meets, but it has to do also with development programs, grassroots programs, you know, these sort of things. But we don't hear much about those programs, and, you know, whether or not even the Athletics Association, for instance, you know, has a plan, whether it's a business plan, a development plan. You know, these are things that I'm only assuming, I've never really seen, because they don't really, some of these associations don't share information. I don't know what, if you have a development plan or not so much a business plan, the business plan will be for your sponsors. But if you have a development plan, what is the whole secret behind that? Because the development plan is about developing the sport. So these are things that should be readily available. In some organizations, you can go and find their plans online, whether it's on the social media page, their website, whatever it is, you can find that. And you can basically follow the development plan, probably a 3-year development plan, for example, 4-year, 5-year, depending on that. You can basically look and see for yourself that, hey, yes, they are on target, and in some instances, you can question what is happening with the sport. Yeah. So I still trying to find out, what really is happening with the development of sports in Grenada. I we have a lot to decipher. We have a lot to dig up. We need to lobby for club subvention from government and GA. Too many clubs are running empty accounts, and that's why I'm saying about the development plan. And I bring into question too, and it's the whole issue of the National Sports Council. I have been one who have been pushing for the existence of the National Sports Council since 2009. 2009, yeah. And I don't understand why there isn't a bigger voice from the National Sports Council. I really, it behoves me. The National Sports Council should have a bigger voice in ensuring that sporting associations, and to your point regarding club subvention from government, if that becomes a reality, the National Sports Council should ensure that clubs are operating as they should be. Proper club structure is one of the things that really affect us. And by the way, most of the problems that we are experiencing at the national level regarding sporting associations, they are basically endemic from the club level, because we do not have, in some instances, proper club structure, meaning a club being operated with a president, a proper club structure in terms of governance. If you do, then we can see easily how folks will be gaining experience at that level, the club level, and move to the National Sporting Association, even up to the Olympic Committee. You can't just be all of a sudden want to be president or want to be this or want to be that if you do not have that level of experience. And in some instances, that's what has happened. And that is why we are seeing and experiencing and getting what we are getting. Because in some instances, folks are just learning on the job. And in some instances, just the way they operate at the club level is what they want to operate at the national level. Do what they want, say what they want, speak to who they want, these sort of things. We have to stop that. We have to stop that. People must understand, that they are there to represent the people who put them there, one, and the interests of the sporting association, and not themselves. I keep repeating that. We have seen that time and time again. Mark my word. Watch it. Listen, the only person who have ever accepted an invitation to be on my program to have a discussion about sports, about the association, from the Grenada Athletics Association and its current executive is Mr. Kwame Hippolyta. And not so much so as the public relations officer of the Athletics Association, but in some instances, because he was the PRO of the LOC twice in terms of the character games, and in that respect, we spoke on character games, not so much Athletics Association, although we take the opportunity at times to, but he didn't appear as the public relations officer of the Grenada Athletics Association. He did not accept the invitation as that, but more so as LOC for character games. Mr. Kwame Hippolyte, and I thank him for that. He means well, and I thank him for that. Other than that, no way. Because you know why? All along, folks have been treating these associations as, that's my house, that's my club, that's my association. And if you question or you say something that they don't like, they keep you afar. They keep you far, far, far. But who cares? Who cares? I mean, I keep saying I'm not a practicing journalist as I was before. By the way, since 2016, 2019, I've moved away. I still do a little writing and things like that. So sports journalism, or the media itself, is not my career as it is. I was once a journalist, a sports journalist, but I still continue doing writing. I still assist. I still reach out to folks privately about certain things regarding media and corrections and what have you. And if they ask me, I don't turn my back on the media. But this to me is, I don't know. It's what okay, so yeah, I'll come back to that in a moment. So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One is missing. One is missing. One is missing. I'm not seeing who's missing. Who is the PRO? Who's the PRO? Just bear with me, right? I'm getting some information there. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Let me see if I can give you a little update. All right. Good afternoon, Dennis. Oh, my good friend Dennis Allen from TNT. Really? Wow. Yeah. All right. So some last minute things have been taking place there. I'll get to you in terms of that. Athletics in Grenada deserves better. It's time for a fresh approach, one built on openness, accountability, strong leadership, and a genuine commitment to developing and supporting our athletes. Okay. So here what it seems to be the final position regarding the Grenada Athletics Association. I'm looking at a photo. Jonel Mitchell, I'm seeing Jonel Mitchell, so he is the president. I'm seeing Mr. Mike Batiste, the first vice president. I'm also seeing Mr. Albert Joseph, so he's the second vice president. I'm seeing Ms. Desiree Stevens, so she's the general secretary. I am seeing, it appears to be Petra Joseph, so she may be their assistant general secretary. Mr. Vaughn Joseph is there. He is the treasurer. And I'm hearing now that Sherian Noel is probably the most like, she's not in the photo, but I'm seeing that there is the PRO. So that looks as if it may be the final executive and I will get some confirmation momentarily regarding that, right? Let me say good afternoon to Mr. Rudieon Sylvan. Rudieon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Michael. I've been listening to you on the other side. I was taking care of some business, so certainly there's a lot that's happening. So, there's a lot that's
Yeah,
happening, and
yeah,
it's
it is.
something
It
to,
is a lot, and um, particularly today, right? um, yeah, we keep talking about new approach. What about global standards? Well, Trevor, it's no longer IWF. We know World Athletics. World Athletics manage 214 members. The rules are clear. The rules are clear. Elect people who have the knowledge and who are willing to learn. I want to suggest that the new executive hosts a retreat and invite you as a guest. Um, the new executive. I mean, some of the same old, the same attitude and the same khaki pants. And mind you, I hope I am with you in terms of a new executive, a new approach, a new beginning. It could be for track and field in Grenada. We have seen and heard and read the comments by some of our former athletes and current athletes in particular. One, I can go back, and for those who just joining us, Gamali Felix, for example, to me, that is very telling, okay? And it says a lot. Colin Peters, good afternoon, Colin. Thank you for the support and congratulations to the new GAA team. I'm grateful for all the support as we continue to work for the development of sports. Now, this is what you call maturity, right? Yeah, this is what you call maturity. Colin Peters is reaching out and congratulating the new team and, grateful for the support, right? And things like that. So thank you also, Colin, for making yourself available, right? And for all those who made themselves available, and I'm certain you will continue to, make a contribution. Thanks for the correction. Yeah, Trevor. Yeah, Rudieon. So it's very telling of what's happening in track and field in particular. I mean, we have our qualms, we have our concerns about sports in Grenada in particular, right? But track and
yeah. I
field
mean,
seems to
Michael, listen, we have our views. I have my views for many years. Into to a part of it, it feels like it was the same thing year after year, year after year, and we feel that there was some change coming in, and then feel again we're going back to the same thing, even though we're in a new era and a new time. I am happy for the new president. I think it was time for the former president to take a step back. Um, I think when you're in a position for so long, you tend to forget why you're in a certain position, and that's just my opinion. Conrad has done great for athletics in Grenada. We have helped numerous athletes to the highest level, and we are grateful for him. But I believe it is time for a forward movement. Um, I have my personal opinion. I would have loved Colin Peters to be there. Me personally, I believe he understands athletics in Grenada and a forward movement. And I think he had a platform that would have, uplift athletics in Grenada for better.
who's that?
However, we have to.
That's
However,
Colin?
yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mm.
Yeah. However, we certainly have to work with who was voted in. We have to respect who was voted in, and we have to work with them to make athletics, better for Grenada. And certainly, we need somebody who have the vision, who understand what athletics, who understand the newness that's happening in the world today. And that's certainly what we want moving forward. It's almost feel like we was in the old times doing the same old thing. This is a new era, a new time. A lot of things is different, um, and that's what I'm really really looking forward. So I'm happy to see someone new at the head, and to lead Athletics Grenada to the next level. I'm really looking forward that to help in any way that I can, with a lot of knowledge that I have. Like I said, being out here in Canada, being around Athletics Canada, talking to a lot of these people here. on the top, who've been there, who have the vision, who make Athletic Canada to the next level. I am willing to help in any way that I can. Me and you had conversation about letting Grenada for many years. So I am happy. Like I said, is athletics better for Grenada today? We will know in the next little while. But we're looking for transparency. We're hoping that they can speak to us. This is our show, hoping that they can come on and speak to us and tell us what the forwardness, the forward movement that they have, they plan for athletics in Grenada. It would be nice, and we just have to hope for the best.
Yeah, well, I have, well, even the current president, well, the newly elected president,
Yeah.
I have reached out to him a couple of times regarding the program and things like that. So, and it appears that some of them do not want to speak on Grenada Athletics. They do not want to represent the Grenada Athletics Association in these discussion programs. I don't know why, right? I don't know if they were advised not to, that they can go, but not on behalf of the Grenada Athletics Association. I hope these things will change, because in things like national associations, right? This is not your club. It's not yours. And you still, to an extent, under public scrutiny, right? Yeah, you're still under public scrutiny. And I'm hoping that it will be a new change in terms of how the Grenada Athletics Association handles the affairs of track and field in Grenada. That is what my thing is regarding that. That it's hopefully that there'll be a new dispensation in terms of how, because to be honest with you, when you gauge, yes, the public is not the ones who are voting, but the Grenada Athletics Association must also gauge its popularity among the public.
Yes.
While you do not have to look at it as a means, but when it appears that you're very unpopular, right? Very unpopular. It tells you something.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, it tells you a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it tells you that something is wrong and something needs to change.
Yeah.
Right? And even if, when you look at the slate and the people who are elected and the votes, by 1 vote, by 3 votes, and these sort of things. So it also tells you that even some of the affiliates are very unhappy.
Yes.
And it probably boils down to who are the clubs that really got to vote, whether they actually showed up to vote.
Yeah.
Some of them they were informed that they're not financial and etc. But it shows you too that things are, for clubs to say, hey, I'm financial, how you can tell me I'm not? Things are in disarray. And
certainly so, Michael, because like I said, this election was supposed to be in January, and I believe it moved because of the character. And then I see something, or I heard something is supposed to be in September, and now it was today. And I don't understand, what this is about. And then I think I heard a clip of yours, just a little bit, stating that some clubs was asked, they're not financially, in a position to vote. But you know that today, or this week, like you didn't know that from before?
Well, it appears that that was the case. I know of one club whose president told me that they heard about the meeting and they reached out to the association to find out, because they didn't get any notice.
Any notice, yeah.
And they were told that they didn't, because they're not financial. They're not in good financial standing, and listen, you're hearing all sorts of things, and that's the problem I'm saying. Whether it's true or not, it's still a black eye.
Yeah, it's concerning. It's concerning. Yeah.
That should not be the case. That should not be the case. And I'm saying again, Rudieon, and folks, listen. an association as the Grenada Athletics Association should be basking on the exploits of our athletes, especially at the intercall, for example.
Yeah.
Because all in all, they are athletes, and at some point they will be representing the association, Grenada, whatever it is like that. So you should be basking on that. And that should be sort of a gauge for you to ensure that you operate with a high level of transparency and accountability.
Transparency. Yep.
And by the way, I'll get back to Damali's post, because folks who just joining us should really see that. You know, and when clubs are questioning their, you know, the eligibility, it tells you a lot. So, for example, if your bylaws state, and the bylaws state that for a club to, or school affiliate to participate in any of the GAA activities or events or sanctioned events, they must be in good financial standing. Okay. You see, clubs or affiliates should pay their affiliation fees by the end of January. So by the 1st of February of each year, you should be either in good financial standing or you're not, because you should have paid. So let's bygones are bygones, because we have a new executive. But are you telling me that if you move the meeting from January to September, that between that period, there was no indication to clubs or affiliates that they are not in good financial standing, and letting them know that the meeting is in September, but our records show that you're not in good financial standing, so you need to pay up by X time to be eligible to participate in the electoral process? That's one.
And then here's another question. Go ahead.
To participate in the activities of the Grenada Athletics Association, whether it's national relay meet, whether it's national champs, by the way, which is a club event, whether it's the Whitsuntide Games, according to the bylaws, to pay a registration fee, you must be in good financial standing. So you cannot tell me that you are taking my registration fee money and it's all about mass participation than telling me, listen, you cannot register to participate because you're not in good financial standing. So for you to register, you need to pay your registration fee as well, right? I mean, you need to pay your affiliation fee as well. Right? By the way, the affiliation fee is $150. Yes, so I'm saying there appears to be a lot of miscommunication along the way, and to all of a sudden provide a notice to clubs, letting them know that these are the clubs that are listed to participate in the meeting, and then you're not seeing your club name, and then you have to wonder, well, why my club name is not there. I think it's atrocious, and it's all an attempt to manipulate. Because my thing is that there should have been notices sent out to affiliates, let them reminding them about the meeting, reminding them who are not financial that they should be in good financial standing. Mind you, they are not professional clubs. A lot of clubs may be paying money by probably the president or whoever it is, might be paying on behalf of, because the clubs do not really, as one person put it, they don't get subventions and things like that. Some of them don't have sponsors, right? Yeah. Some of them might have to rely on what you call subs or registration from their athletes. And even that sometimes, you can understand, because most of them are students. So you have to understand things might be a bit hard. So clubs sometimes have to rely on them, probably, or even what they get from participating in, whether it's relay meet or whatever it is, right? They may have to rely on that sort of money to pay. So my thing is that there's nothing wrong, Rudieon, in informing clubs that they are outstanding in terms of their affiliation fees, and they need to pay up before a certain date so as to participate in the electoral process. If they don't, it means that they will be ineligible to participate in the elective meeting. Well, in terms of the vote, because you can participate in the meeting, but you just cannot vote, right? But so based on what I've been hearing for the past few days, is that it appears that it was just a process to manipulate who we can get to vote for us, who can vote for us, who can ensure that we can stay in office, or and when you have people basically going out and calling others and telling them don't participate and don't do this and don't do that because three-way calls and all kind of thing. Listen, sooner or later, the facts will be out there, and some of those people who are involved in that, they'll be put to shame. I'm telling you that. It will be something that will tarnish their legacy and their reputation, because it means it's to win at all costs, to stay in power at all costs, to be in charge at all costs, and by any means necessary. That to me is bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and a part of it, Michael, also, that for me, what does good financial standing means? That if a club is not registered, they cannot take part in any competition under the club name. So how they can take part in club under the club name in events, and then they say that they are not financial? What does that mean?
That's
They have to be registered for them to compete. They must be registered.
So if you're trying to say mass participation, we are allowing you to participate because of mass participation. But then why it is you are allowing them to participate and they're not affiliated, or they are not paying their affiliation fees, they're not properly registered. You're taking their registration money, but then on the other hand, you're telling them that you don't have a vote, and you're not probably giving them an opportunity to regularize themselves.
And then here's another question: do any athletes from that particular club was selected for any national team?
Listen to me.
That should not. Okay, all right.
Altitude Track Club, which was one of the clubs that was not listed originally, had more athletes on the national team for the Caribbean Games than any other club. Then we also had Top Flight Athletics from St. John's.
St. John's, yeah.
Yeah, the top sprinter for Grenada was from Top Flight. So I mean, I'm still trying to understand the logic in that.
It's still baffling. It's still baffling to me. It doesn't make any sense. So certainly, clarification is important.
Here's one question to you, Mr. Bascombe. Do you think associations should do as GFA, elect a president that comes with his team? So the suggestion here is like a slate. So you have a slate, and once you elect the president, it means that the entire slate is in. It all depends on the it's not yes or no, but it depends on the constitution, and that's one thing I'm hoping that this new executive can look into the whole. Listen, Rudieon, I think I shared with you something, but we have been for the past 2 days trying to find out a copy of the constitution of the Grenada Athletics Association. And somebody's telling you this is it, and somebody's telling you this is part of it. Somebody telling you they think there's an updated one and there's an updated version. That shouldn't be the case. You're talking about people who had interest in vying for office for the Grenada Athletics Association, and they were trying to get an official copy of the Constitution, and they could not have put their hands on the official, what is the current constitution, the bylaws of the Grenada Athletics Association. Rudieon, these are things that have to be changed. Fortunately, you cannot. Track and field is too big for Grenada. It's probably one of the most prominent sport right now in terms of representing Grenada, right? Yes, they do not have the budget as the Grenada Football Association. So they cannot do the sort of the Grenada Football Association can afford to have 3 and 4 teams on tour or participating in various tournaments and all these sort of things. We can understand the Athletics Association, but there is no reason why, and that's why I'm going back to Mr. Peters' manifesto, where he was actually talking about, first 100 days, a short term.
100 days, yeah.
And also looking at what they call a business aspect for track and field in Grenada.
Track and field in Grenada, yeah.
You can't be telling me that you're just relying on just the Adidas or Puma, whoever it is, and you don't have a working and just sponsors for when you have a meet, KFC relay meet, and when you have the Whitsuntide, you have a few spots. No, you have to have a business plan where you have a program for development with key sponsors.
Yes. Michael, and this is not us just saying that now. We say the same thing about the character. We say the same thing about them. We speak about the same thing, that they need to have a major sponsor. We say the same thing about it. And we can constantly depending on government or constantly depending on something, which is the same thing here. You're constantly depending on a business to do something or whichever it is. And that should not be. You've got to have a plan.
Yeah.
And a working plan too, not just having a plan. It has to be a working plan.
All right. Let me hear from Nathaniel Marcus. My point is, how can you put someone in a position like this when the past and present athletes don't even know who they are? When I was in college, I dealt with Mr. Peters. And one thing I can say is that he was always present and involved. He showed up, supported the athletes, and being an athlete himself, he understood the challenges and struggles we face. That kind of experience and connection with the athletes matters when it comes to leading and developing the sport. Trevor Lett says athletes and national squad management, talent development, competition governance and hosting regional event bidding, global liaison, responsibility of the local body. Can we focus more on that? That is what we hope in. Kelvin Hector, afternoon, Coco Shot. Some people just need to let go. But they always enjoy the ride, and the opportunity to travel all over the world and run the organization comes second. That is a very salient point. That's how it's supposed to be done. Well said, Michael. Well said. That is what I am saying. They do not care. It's all about themselves. Rudieon, before you came on, right? And before a lot of folks, I want to bring back to you this point. Read this. Look at it, folks. Gamali Felix, a current athlete of Grenada, and I'm putting it up again because for him to come out there boldly and say that, it means that there is something that is affecting these athletes. He says, I genuinely believe the Grenada Athletics Association desperately needs a change. We need more transparency, accountability, and people who genuinely care about the sport and the athletes. He continues, Grenada has the talent, facilities, and potential to be so much further ahead. We need an administration that communicates clearly about funding, development, selections, and where the sport is heading. This isn't about personalities or sides, it's about moving Grenadian athletics forward. You know, Gamali is saying this, and I was so touched by it because, we can come there and say all what we want to say and what we're hearing from others. But when the athletes themselves are saying this, former and current, then there's a problem. You have athletes who are telling you and maybe texting you and telling you that they hear from the association only when there is a time for them to represent Grenada. So they reach out to them to ask them if they're available. And besides that, they don't hear from them. Listen, I can tell you, I know you laugh at Rudieon. We probably know more about the athletes, where they are, how they're performing, than even those in the association. Where they are in terms of which college, how they're performing. Yep. And, well, Mike Batiste is now the first vice president, so hopefully there will be a change. Mike Batiste is one who, for some people may figure is, you know, I know he was like a persona non grata for the association because he used to be asking the questions and the tough questions, right? He used to be asking the tough questions and he was like a thorn. They didn't want Mike Batiste around, but he was representing his club and he would be there. And I know that for some of them, this is a bad omen for Mike Batiste to be on the executive because Mike is one who will be ensuring that things are going in the favor of the athletes.
Yep.
You know, we will reach out to athletes. Mike will do too, because sometimes I will speak to them and they say, oh yeah, Mike reached out to me, or I heard from Mike Batiste. And I will just ask the athletes how things are going. And they will tell you, but thanks for asking. We wish the association doing that. So people from the association don't even call. They don't even call them except when they reach out to them to let them know or ask them if they're available. In 2015, I think it was 2013 or somewhere there, we went to, I think it was in Moscow I went to, and it was Braylon Taplin, who was one of the athletes in Grenada. And the person representing the Athletics Association met and spoke to Braylon for the first time when I introduced them to Braylon. Because I was with Braylon. It may have been, no, I think it's in Beijing. It was in China, right? And it was the World Championships in Beijing. I was there. And I was with Braylon going around. And said hello to the person. I wouldn't call the person name. And then I said, hey, by the way, this is Braylon Taplin. Oh, nice meeting you. Basically for the first time. The point I'm making, Rudieon, is that Braylon was selected on the team. He didn't visit Grenada before that. He eventually visited Grenada, right? Visited Grenada. But you want to tell me, as an association, and as one who represented the association, you didn't try to make contact with an athlete who will be representing Grenada, and you as, whether it's team lead or whatever it is, say, hey, I'll be your team lead, I'll be your this, I'll be your that. You know, if before getting to Beijing, there's any problem, here's my number, reach out to me, you know, this sort of thing. Introduce. So then when you meet the person in Beijing, it's just a matter of seeing probably first time, right? It was basically the first time communicating with the athlete. I was so shocked about that. But then again, this is how we have to change that. We have to change that, you know. And mind you, it's not surprising that in 2026 we might have been having the same sort of thing, you know. But outside of that, one of the things I'm hoping, Rudieon, that can change is the attitude of our administrators. The too many of the athletes complain about the attitude. They reach out to folks and as if they are begging them to do them a favor. I'm talking about some of our athletes in colleges in the United States in particular. They are reaching out to administrators of national sporting associations, sometimes for information, for guidance, and as if they are begging them, to do them a favor. That has to stop. The attitude People have to learn to speak to people and to dialogue, to reason, to be compassionate. The athletes are out there, they may be going through a lot, especially in colleges and things, and they may need assistance or guidance, whatever it is. You have to try to put yourself in their situation and try to understand what's going on and see how best you can assist them. You may not be in a position to assist them directly, but you may be in a position to direct them, to guide them. What we are hearing is a lot about how they behave with them, their interaction, their attitude, not communicating, not responding, and sometimes, as they say, I don't bother with them again because I know they will get back to me when it's time to represent or when it's time to, this, that, or the other. We have to change that. And I'm hoping that some of the folks in the National Association, if you're listening, please stop. You may not want to speak to me. I don't care. Right? I don't care.
This is not about us. It's not about us.
It's not about me. It's not about us.
Not about us.
It's about our athletes.
Future for the athletes. And then we are losing a lot of them because of that. A lot of athletes decide not to compete again. A lot of them decide to take a step back because of administration either not showing the care, not reaching out to them. A lot of them do. A lot of them decide to continue their career. And it's sad to see that because they could have been something.
Do the association know how many athletes who are leaving colleges this year have an interest in continuing?
And that's what I'm saying. And that's the question, right?
Or whether or not, out of frustration, out of lack of interest, that they decide, hey, that's it. I've finished my college career. I am moving on to something that is probably more beneficial to me or something like that. So, right?
Now, I really do hope for change, Michael. And there's a lot of things to change. And we're hoping that this new administration that is there will do something different than what previous have done in the past. I'm really, really hoping so. There's so much that I have that I would like to share with them if they were willing to hear. You have so much that you're willing to share with them as well. And I have a platform and I said a portfolio that I think can help them moving forward with athletes, especially those who's in college and even at home as well. But let's hope. Just hope that we want the best. But we don't want to see the same old thing, the same thing over and over again. We just solely do want the best for them. They're just going empowered today. So, let's hope that there's something new coming in that they can put, the project forward and that we know what it is and know how to work with it. So let's see what happens. That's how we can hope for. Let's see what happens.
So my points, Rudieon, is that how well structured are our national sporting. I know we speak a lot about the Athletics Association, but our national sporting associations, how they are structured. Are their constitutions current and fit for purpose? Questions that we can really ask. And how many associations have properly established bylaws, electoral regulations, and other supporting governance documents? And importantly, though, how many affiliates actually have access to those documents or understand the rules governing their participation? Some of them probably don't, right? You cannot expect clubs and affiliates to follow rules they have never seen. That's period. And constitutions, the bylaws, electoral procedures, membership requirements, and other important documents should not be treated as confidential material. These documents should be publicly available online where athletes, coaches, clubs, administrators, even parents, the media, and the public can see them. By that way, to me, it's a level of transparency. The wider problem, though, Rudieon, is that this is not simply about the Grenada Athletics Association.
No.
Similar governance problems have surfaced across sports over the years. We have seen it in football, we have seen it in basketball, netball, just name it, right? But too often, questions arise only when there is an election, a dispute over whether it's membership, nominations, the voting rights, or even the interpretation of a constitution. But by then, relationships have already deteriorated and people are taking sides. And you find that, I mean, just a few weeks ago we had that with football, you know.
Yes, we did.
Now we see
now we see it in athletics.
Next might be who, you know. So much of the conflict could be avoided with proper structures and clearly written rules, you know.
Yeah.
I will want to know, for example, who qualifies as an affiliate. You know, what rights does an affiliate have? Okay. What determines voter eligibility? Well, we know that has been big in politics in the grand scheme of things, you know. What must nominations or when? When, that's an important point. When must nominations be submitted? By the way, who supervises the elections? Because when football had its say, we know who was, you know, supervising the election, who the electoral committee, you know, all these sort of things. What happens when someone challenges a decision? What's the process? So if, for example, Top Flight Athletics or Altitude Academy Track Club, they challenge the decision about them being financial or non-financial, you know, what's the process? You know, is there an independent appeals process? And then, importantly, we have spoken about that numerous times, Rudieon. How frequently must constitutions be reviewed? We know that constitutions have to be based on, you know, your international affiliate. So in some instances, they will look at it and say, hey, you're right, this is in accordance with the etc., etc. Not that they're telling you what to put in it, but, you know, there'll be certain things that they will have to get probably legal redress and, you know, all these other things to ensure that it falls within. You know, our minutes, you know, the minutes of meetings, audited financial statements and, you know, major decisions being made available to members? Or is it only when they attend the meeting, like they attended the meeting today and that was made available to them? What happens during, I'm certain you would have had meetings between January and August, right? What, you know, but before we leave on that topic, Rudy, and, you know, the National Sports Council have a role to play, and I keep saying, we are again appealing to the National Sports Council to become more involved in strengthening sports governance. It does not necessarily mean interfering in the, you know, the day-to-day affairs of sporting associations. Yeah. But it to me, it helps. You know, it helps to establish like minimum standards of governance and accountability for organizations, especially those representing Grenada. You know, there could be a central online location where constitutions and bylaws of every recognized national sporting associations are available. So whether it's football, whether it's track and field, whether it's basketball, swimming, you know, you can go on this portal and pull that up. I mean, this is nothing to hide. You understand? The bylaws of a national association is nothing that should be hiding. This is not something you have under your arm and, you know, secretly guarded and things like that. So if affiliate wants to check on something and guidance, and so they should be able to go there and find it, right? Associations needing constitutional reform could also receive administrative or legal assistance, you know, from the Sports Council, because good governance should not depend on who happens to be president or secretary at a particular time. So Conrad was president, he's no longer president. that shouldn't be a case of where when he was there, because he was him, I'm just using an example, there was good governance. Because this person, they decided, hey, no, I do it my way, Good governance is good governance, right? So the institution must be stronger than the individuals occupying positions.
the position.
Yeah, and it must be, and the elections, produce winners and losers today. The more important question, though, is whether Grenada Athletics, Rudieon, will emerge stronger, more transparent, and better governed after the election. That's my take, right?
Yeah, I hope so, and I want to believe that. I strongly do. I
Yeah.
want to believe that, and I want to believe that those they now have good interest in heart for the athletes and to build athletics Grenada, and we
Yeah,
don't have a choice but to to be with them in this time and hope for the best. But I believe we could see some new things. I'm hoping for the transparency moving
yeah.
forward. So
All right. Let me get some comments here. Goatee Robinson is saying he's also a former president of what was the Grenada Amateur Athletic and Cycling Association. George Goatee Robinson. Congratulations to John L. on being elected president of GAA. I publicly supported and endorsed Cullen to be president. He has already done the right thing in congratulating John L. Right? Ellis said, and before that was cricket, too much square pegs in round holes. I left out cricket, but that's another one. Yeah. Annette Moore is saying, Annette, good afternoon to you. A long time I've not heard from you, but thanks. We have a communication challenge in general, whereby we fail to answer or return calls, emails, and messages. We have the technology to service the public in a better manner and do not make full use of it. We also need to be more concerned about responsive to those who depend on us. Good point, Annette. Here's the thing about it, Rudieon, and the point she's making. Technology now. Gone are the days where you will write a letter and wait for pause the letter, wait for it, hope that it arrives in Grenada. Someone reads it and replies, right? And then it's weeks upon weeks, something like that. In this age of technology, you can email, you can WhatsApp, you can call, and that's what I'm saying. You can quickly send a message to someone saying, hey, can we have a conversation later today or such and such time? Or I just sent you an email. Can you check it and get back to me, please? These sort of things. This is the day of, even at work, Rudieon, my supervisors and chiefs, something like that, they communicate with us via technology.
yeah, yes, definitely. Me too. I get an email and I could respond back right away because it popped up on my phone.
Even without an email, they might send you a text message or they might send you a message on Teams saying, hey, I sent you an email, check it out for me, blah, blah, blah. These sort of things. This day and when we have athletes who are saying that we have been reaching out to the association or members of the association and we are not responding and not getting back to us and we're not this and we're not that, we have a problem. We have a problem. More comments. What does it mean to interfere? Some associations need interference at times. I understand your point, right? I understand your point. Don't feel I don't understand your point. Some of them need interference, right? Nisha is saying, Michael Bascombe, the National Sports Council have been trying. If the associations are not willing, what should the council do? What do I mean, what? There's a lot of things the council can do. Associations are dependent on government for funding, and this is one of the ways. The sports council is an arm of the government.
Yep.
So it's an easy fix. Don't tell me what can we do or what should we do. There's a lot of things the National Sports Council can do. And mind you, the National Sports Council is by law. It's not something that just set up. It's something in law.
It's law. It's in law. Yeah.
It's law. It's
Hmm.
recognized. It's an act of
Hmm.
parliament.
Yes, it is.
So it's not a fly-by-night organization. It has
Yes, and yeah.
telling. So
He has
if
weight.
associations have to depend on government for subventions or for funding or for what assistance, the sports council has a role to play.
The role to
And
play. Yeah.
if they are not meeting certain guidelines, then I mean that's an easy fix for me. So I mean, telling me what should the council do when there are a lot of things the council can do, but
Sure.
that's probably is another topic for discussion. General meetings as well, records of attendance, amendments to bylaws made, etc. Elections happening, bylaws and constitution should have been made available for public knowledge and view, just for transparency's sake. Certainly, it will be nice if the association respond when the council reach out. And again, I'm saying that the council is an act of parliament and has legal standing, has teeth. So if the association is not responding, there are things that the council can do because the associations reach out to government for assistance.
Yep.
So if they're reaching out to a government for assistance through the Ministry of Sports, which the council falls under, it means that there is some lack of communication.
Communication.
Because
Yep.
the council should be informing the Ministry of Sports that we have been reaching out to Council A,
So,
B,
yeah.
C,
Yeah.
and we have not been, getting responsive, whatever. And the Ministry of Sports will know how to act accordingly. Not that they have the heavy hand, but the association somehow will reach out to the Ministry of Sports for assistance, and the Ministry of Sports will know how to act. So, I mean, yeah, I understand the point you're making, Nisha. There is so much that can. By the way, folks, Anderson Peters finished third in the men's javelin throw at the Diamond League yesterday. He had a season best of 86.69 meters. You know, the guy from Sri Lanka is really on a roll. He won
He's on fire.
88.14 meters and narrowly beaten India's Neeraj Chopra at 88.05 meters. But here's the interesting thing. Anderson remains very much in contention in the Diamond League race, right? Because
Yes, he is. Yeah.
the published standings have him second behind Sri Lanka's Pathraj, with Zurich still to come, which Zurich is on next Thursday, the 27th.
That's it. Yeah.
And then you have the final on the 5th of September, Saturday the 5th. The Diamond League final is in Brussels on September 4th and the weekend of September 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
Javelin throw is on the Zurich program. So there's a meet on tomorrow, God's willing, but there isn't a javelin in it, right? But on Thursday in Zurich, there's a javelin, and then he is in the top eight.
He's in the top eight.
Final, and that would be a showdown because when you go into the final, remember the slate is white clean, eh?
It's white clean, yeah. Everybody's on the same level.
Everybody's on the same level. You're starting from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's as if it's not that you carry on.
Points don't carry over. Yeah.
Points don't carry. Yeah. So Peters, continues to
dominate
his constituency.
Right? He's consistent. Yeah. He's consistent.
It's encouraging. CSC Games goal already secured this month, and another podium finish against a quality. Right, it was a quality Diamond League fielder. That should be a good finale, right? Folks, some information, good and bad. Grenada will compete in League B, Group C of the CONCACAF Nations League, alongside Cuba, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Bonaire. But here the thing about it. Grenada was actually scheduled to host that But apparently, the football field has failed an inspection, and Trinidad will host the Grenada leg. Yeah. The football field has failed an inspection, and Grenada was scheduled to host St. Kitts, Cuba, and Bonaire. And it would have been a nice atmosphere. Yeah, because mind you, somehow, I don't know where those Cubans come out from, but when there's a game in Grenada and the Cubans are involved, I mean, there are so many Cubans, right? There's a lot of Cubans living in Grenada, boy. There's a Cuban, there usually be a Cuban posse at the stadium. So, so I said good and bad in that it was bad to hear that Grenada failed that inspection, and now the Grenada leg will be hosted in Trinidad. It's between the, I don't know. So Grenada is expected to play Cuba. Then we have St. Kitts versus Grenada. Originally scheduled was for the 25th of September, Grenada, Cuba. St. Kitts Nevis versus Grenada on the 28th. Then the second, Bonaire versus Grenada. And then on the 5th of October, Grenada versus Bonaire. But now that they have been moved to Trinidad, I think the group, it will be between October 2nd and 5th or somewhere there. So we wait to get that thing, But it is also note that Grenada has a new coach, the football team,
yes, the
national team. Yeah. Stone John from Trinidad and Tobago. He originally was the coach of St. Lucia. He is now the coach, the national men's coach. Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Rudieon, sports governance, and the question is, Grenada Sporting Associations properly structured? That will be my parting question, and what we will part on today. The Grenada election, the Grenada Amateur Athletics Association, rather. Elections come and gone, but let's use it as a starting point. But broadens the discussion. Let's broaden the discussion beyond athletics to the constitutional and administrative problems affecting sport generally, because no amount of grassroots programs and what you have will be enough if you don't have proper structures in place.
Yeah.
So by the way, the Athletics Association may be able to claim that we have a grassroots program and a good grassroots program, seeding program, but we're seeing what's happening with the administrative arm of the association. And based on what we're hearing from athletes and the public, there seems to be a level of mistrust.
Yeah.
Right? And hopefully things will change. Let me get a couple of more comments from the public, and then we'll see how we can wrap up. Ooh, lots of comments. Let me see. Elections happening by laws should have been. It will be nice if associations. We went through that already. Right. Let's go. Some people in the council in charge of associations that need monitoring themselves, and this conversation has really brought some things to light. One of it is that a lot of people placed in certain positions have no clue about how they are supposed to function both in the sports council and GAA. Again, square pegs in round holes. No surprise about the field. They have been fined twice before. That has to do with the football field. My question is, I can't recall what major activity they had at that.
That's what I'm saying. I can't remember there's any activities.
But the last major activity in the stadium there would have been with some Tide games.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
Yeah,
there's nothing else. So I don't know.
How did St. Lucia do under Stone John's leadership? Um, that's a good question to Google. I will Google that and find out. That's a good question. How many they do on that? But yeah, yeah, they have been fined twice before. Wow. Oh. And to me, that's, that would have been a nice home advantage for Grenada and, things like that. So the nation stuff, but it's sad to know that. And hopefully, again, a lot of things happen. So they have been fined twice before. Did anyone took responsibility for that? There's any things, what was done to ensure that it doesn't happen again? You see, and that's the problem. That's the problem we see happening in Grenada. Things happen, we just say bygones be bygones, and we just continue as usual. And it's happened again, So I don't know. Anyway, folks will provide answers whether or not, people are saying that it was. I can't confirm that. I just putting up what's there. Yeah, but I could always get clarity on that because I have a good friend who's there, and I can get the clarity on such allegations that tried before and what have you, and what what could be, and whether or not that is really the case. What I know is that the matches were moved from Grenada to Trinidad. As to why, both the stadium and the Grenada Football Association will probably have to say why. It can be logistical, it can be feel, it can be this, that, or the other. We don't know. At some point in time, we'll get to know, right? Rudieon, before we go, Grenada, as I indicated at the start of the program, Grenada Day. Happy Grenada Day in Toronto.
Yes.
Because tomorrow will be Happy Grenada Day in
Brooklyn, yes. I'm heading straight to the house, grab the car and change and then head out.
Okay. Yeah. So Rudieon, you see, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can't just go by what. So I want to use the program here to give clarity. I just received some information there about the condition of the field up to this morning, right? Up to this morning that's some photos I'm actually seeing there. And I want to share it with the public because we made mention of it. So I would want the public to see what I am seeing there now regarding, and so therefore it has to be something else, right? Let me see if I can get that. Yes, this is the condition of the field up to this morning. So, what else could be that problem? Is my wow. Well, I don't know. So then the GFA will probably have to tell us what really could have
what
been,
it is.
what could be the problem. Because if this is the condition of the playing surface up to this morning, right? And I'll put a fuse because just to ensure that there is clarity and listen. Sometimes we have to make sure that when things are said, we have to ensure that there's some level of accountability to what is said, right? Let me see if I can put up some of those. So this is one of the photos I just received, just received, right? Of the condition of the outfield at the Kirani James Athletics Stadium. That's the infield, right? The grass. And it appears that the sprinkler is on because I'm seeing a sort of, I'm seeing something there, right? It appears the sprinkler is on. So I would really want to know why it is the game itself. As we move, let me see if I get another one. Yeah, that's another one. So you're seeing down to the end. we had more like a center one. And let me see if I can get another one that is showing, I think this is more to the modern part of the field, right? This is it. So we basically got a full view of the outfield. So the question I may ask is why it is, or therefore, why it is that the game, or the games rather, switch from Grenada to Trinidad.
Yep.
What it is determines that.
You have to be something else. Yeah, it's not the field.
Yeah.
But this point, it's not the field, but
Yeah. What it is. Yeah. So I am baffled, and I would really want to know what it is that prevented us from hosting that. But thanks, Mr. Louison. That's Mr. Patrick Louison from the stadium. Yeah, from the stadium. And he provided those photos, as he said. This is the condition of the field up to this morning. And I have a lot of photos, as many as 10 photos, various aspects of it. And if folks believe that that's not the case, they'll always check, because he wouldn't, he certainly would not give me wrong information. And as indicated, we have a month or so before the game. So then why? The question is why? If we have a month before the game, why it is that they decided to switch, from Grenada to Trinidad?
And only that too, going into a different country where that country is not even one of the teams that is in that bracket.
Yeah. Hi, Bas. That's why I continue to beg you, stop using the cliche, let bygone be bygone, because if our present administrators are not conscious of the high standard of administration pre-2000, but Mr. Robinson, with all due respect, I mean, I could understand, but a lot of things have changed. You're talking about 20 plus years ago, we cannot, in by far measure, we cannot operate as how we operated back then in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Whether it's constitution, whatever. Back then, we would have been probably writing as indicated. We now have technology. We have a lot of things at our disposal that can make things much easier and more efficient. So we cannot keep harping on what was successful back then. Back then, it was an era. There are some things that, yes, can still be relevant 20, 30 years later. But by and large, we cannot. Yeah. So,
and back then, they also had their problems. Back then, also had their problems.
And they had a lot of issues. Because
a lot of issues. Yep.
While administrators back then basically were operating from the back of their vehicle in some instances, if they had one.
Yeah.
They had everything for the association in the back of their vehicle. So you'll be writing notes, the notepad and note paper and everything in the back of your car, because you don't have to have it home, because you have it in the back of your vehicle or in the back seat or whatever. These days, someone can walk into a meeting with an iPad or a telephone and jot down notes.
Yep.
These days, you can afford to use your phone on the podium and read out your notes. Gone are days where you have all these paper and this, that, and the other. So a lot of things prior pre-2000 are irrelevant. They wouldn't stand a chance, because so many things have evolved and changed.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we just throw away everything, because certainly there are things that are still relevant today. But we cannot use a yardstick of pre-2000. I mean, 1970s. I hear a lot of people say, oh, back in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, listen, hey, a lot of the folks who even are in positions probably didn't even born that time. They didn't born yet. You know, they didn't. No, 2 decades ago, the challenges today are the same as it was 20 years ago. I'm not too certain about that, you know. Probably some. I'm not too certain about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I mean, I am saying that there are certain things that can be done in this day and age. Mr. Robertson, 20 years ago, you probably could not have been doing what you're doing there, expressing your views. Instant communication.
Yeah.
No, you could not. You call on the radio, you wait on the telephone, and and this other thing. No, we have internet, everybody on social media. You don't even have to wait. You don't have to wait on a talk show to express your views. You can just pick up your phone or go on your computer and go on your social media platform and say what you want. Express your views.
Have your own talk show.
And people will comment on it, and people will say, hey, this, that, and 20 years ago, you have to let somebody go on the radio, not even television, but on the radio. And then you call in and you get in and you say your 2 pence, and things like that. So yes, I understand. There are certain things 20 years ago that could be relevant. Some of the challenges, yeah, but by and large, because of how things are evolving, we have to ensure that associations also evolve with the challenges, also evolve with the changes, right? There are so many things that are coming up these days that we are encountering, that we are encountering, that we have to find ways and means of how to deal with it, including how we deal with people, how we communicate with people, So, Rudieon, once again, we'd like to congratulate the executive of the Grenada Athletics Association. Based on what I have here, the president is Mr. John L. Mitchell. First vice president is Mike Batiste. Second vice president is Albert Joseph. The secretary is Desiree Stevens. The assistant secretary is Petra Joseph. I will get that confirmed. The treasurer is Vaughn Joseph. And the PRO is Sherian Noel. My suggestion is that the folks who have, from both slates or whoever, who have contested and who have lost by 1 vote and 2 and 3 votes, they still probably in a position to provide a service that can be used on committees, and things like that. So that is my suggestion, right? That this is what is expected, but congratulations, and hopefully I am using this opportunity. I will reach out directly to the president and see if I can get an audience with the president to be on the program and for us to discuss, the challenges, because it's a new dispensation, right? Okay, there might be a lot of things that were done over the past 4 years that certainly will have to be done in a different way in 2026, right? 2026 onwards. We are hearing from the athletes. We hopefully that it will not be the same old khaki pants of yesteryear going into 2026. Thank you very much, Rudieon, and enjoy yourself.
Yes, certainly. You too.
What is really happening today? I mean, I know for Brooklyn normally it's like Spice Mass Square.
Well, the same thing here. I think there is a section of the parishes where you definitely see jab jab. You definitely see the whole oil. So anything Grenada, you definitely see the jab jab. But certainly it will be good. It's always good to go and see your people, see our people, and our colors. It's always a good thing.
Okay. Well, right. That's good to know. And I want folks to enjoy themselves, things like that. So, all right. And folks, for those of you,
I might see a boy too. You never know.
Right. That probably is there. That's why we didn't hear from him today.
Probably is there.
those of you who, if you want to hit me up, please, link me on WhatsApp. That's my WhatsApp number. You can, you can even join our WhatsApp channel and get information, get about our programs, what have you. Send me a WhatsApp name, whatever. I can hook you up on the WhatsApp channel, and we'll continue the discussion, because hopefully next week we try to have another, program again.
Yeah.
And it will be our final program for the month of August as we get ready for the new school year, Rudieon. So we will be, talking about some of those things, and some of the athletes in colleges and things who are settling down. We have track and field athletes, we have footballers, we have a number of footballers. As a matter of fact, from information from the Grenada Football Association over the past few days show that we have as many as 30 footballers in colleges across the United States.
Yep.
We just had 7 who joined recently, but we have up to about 30. This is tremendous.
That's very good.
And similarly, we have athletes, and we have Grenadians who have kids who are in high school and colleges and have interest in representing and all of that. But sometimes the information, the communication, the interaction between the diaspora and the association is only when they need something. So when the association needs them to represent their, Grenada, they reach out to them. But between that, they don't hear to that. They don't find out, how things are going, how studies, how you're training, how you this, that. They just want, are you available to represent? We have a meet coming up, and now we have to, So thank you very much, folks. Again,
it was a pleasure.
Yeah. Hi, my good friend Paul. Paul, thank you very much, Paul. Paul is from Trinidad, and he always tune in. Yeah, so if you want, you can link us up here, and you certainly join you in the WhatsApp group. You'll get all the information. I'll be letting you know about our program, our guests on the program. If you want to be on the program, feel free to be on. Send a request. And we're glad to have you on the program to say something. You have a voice as well. We always welcome you. Thank you again, Rudieon, and I know you getting ready to run off, right?
Yeah. All right. See you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no
problem. All right. So that's Rudieon Sylvan in Toronto. Wow. It's Grenada Day in Toronto. All the best, folks. Please be safe. Spice Mass, as they say, was a movie. Folks enjoy themselves. No major incidents, except for a couple of accidents that, by the way, accidents happen. They do happen, but I always say can be prevented, right? But other than that, it was enjoyable. I hope it can be the same if you're representing Grenada. If it's a Grenada Day, please do it and do it safe. For those of folks in Toronto, for those in Brooklyn, New York, please do the same. Have fun, enjoy yourself, right? And for those who are program, again, feel free, link me up and we'll have you on the program. We can talk about not just sports in Grenada, sports, what's on your mind, sports administration in the Caribbean, whatever, because we have friends, Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, all over listening in the diaspora. And they may want certain things that taking place in terms of administration of sports in Trinidad, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada, Barbados, Jamaica. There are similarities, right? How I am certain that there no association, by the way, sporting association is perfect. And there can be, learning initiatives. So certain things done in Trinidad that can be understudied in Grenada, vice versa, whether it's Jamaica, hey, we talk about the Caribbean, we talk about CARICOM, we talk about so many things, but when it comes to things like sports, we tend to be, I'm on my own, you on your own, and things like that. So, right? We can probably show the politicians that if they cannot unite when it comes to Caribbean trade and other things, we can unite when it comes to sports. So why not associations reaching out to sister associations, Trinidad football, to Grenada football, St. Vincent tennis, reaching out to St. Lucia tennis, this swimming, and thing, having exchanges, best practices, having goodwill championships, these sort of things. You can demonstrate to the politicians that we can do it in sports. Please, yeah. And these are the challenges I'm saying that we can. It's not all about who can travel and represent, and and who wants to be manager, and who wants to be team leader, and who wants to be this and that. And sometimes you're hearing about the manager of the team and the team leader and thing before you actually hear about the team and all these sort of things. And you're hearing that we don't have enough money to send athletes, but you having this and that and all these sort of. No, we have to move away from that. We have to move away from that. I know of associations that will reach out to folks, capable and competent people in the diaspora, who will say, hey, we are sending a team to represent. It's a small team, but we're looking for someone to manage, someone to do this, do that, and things like that. So who can you suggest? Who can you recommend? Who's available, etc. And it has been done. But you know what happens sometimes? For our folks in the islands, it's all about per diem and the perks and the this and the that. And it's not so much about representation. My thing is that if you can cut down, if it's an issue of cost, and it means that I can afford to send an extra athlete or extra competitor and have someone who's already there represent, then so be it. The person is a Trinidadian, is a Trini, is a Grenadian, there's a national, as you call it. What is the problem in that? And in most cases, they won't ask for per diem or them sort of things like that, because you don't have to pay for flight. And in some instances, depending on where it is, you may not have to pay for accommodation, and all these sort of things. So if it's an issue of cost, then you have to see how you can start networking. So if it's in Atlanta, you find someone in Atlanta who may be willing to. You might find a parent or who may have a child who is on the team and might be willing to do the managerial duties or the team lead or the attaché duty or whatever it is like that. So, but it's all about, I want to be there. I want to be accredited and moving around as this and no, we have to get away from this thing. And that's why the athletes are now crying out. That's why the athletes are now talking out. Gone are the days when the athletes will send you a message and tell you, hey, such and such is the case. They are now speaking out, as is the case earlier in the program. Athletes are now boldly speaking out and saying what's on their mind. And it tells you that there is a problem. Folks, thank you for being a part of our program. Thank you for viewing. The invitation certainly is for you to join us next week, God's willing, and we'll have another program. Whatever you're doing this weekend and for the rest of the week, please do it with some level of moderation. Remember to support our sportsmen and sportswomen. Peace be with you. Thank you.